Okay, let's give a big welcome to Sam. So tell us about what you are doing in AI sense, and especially why you start this company.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, David, for inviting me to visit the WeWork. Actually, this is my first time here. First of all, actually, I'd love to know who are the audience and what.
Mostly founders.
Mostly founders.
We actually asked them every meeting.
Okay, great. So yeah, we are a startup located in Los Altos. The company name is AI Sense. You know, AI everybody knows, and sense. You know, we're trying to make sense of all of data. And also we love sensors. You know, all kinds of sensors. Could be previously I worked on Google Map location service. So we did a lot of work on GPS and location and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all that. But while working on that, I realized that there's one big sensor we were not using. That's the microphone on your smartphone. Or if you use a smartwatch, there's many smartwatches that have a microphone now. So at AI Sense, we're trying to build a system that tries to capture as much voice data as possible and analyze that to understand people's conversation. You know, one basic motivation is this. You know, why do we do this? You know, you can search everything on the internet by Google today, and it's extremely fast, extremely effective. You can search your email really fast, but although we spend so much time talking, like what we're doing right now, or for certain people, you know, whether if you're a product manager, if you're a business guy, if you're a VC, you probably spend 40% or sometimes even more than 50% of your time meeting people, like either in person or over the telephone, over a video chat system. You spend so much time talking, but all that information mostly lost. You can't find it unless you're a super diligent note taker. You use a notepad like that. You write things on that, or you type very diligently on your laptop or on your cell phone. But obviously, typing on cell phone is extremely hard. Using a notepad like that, you write things on paper. That's what people have been doing for hundreds of years. The problem with that is when you need it, you can't find it. Either you don't have your notepad with you, or even if you have it, you don't know which page it's on. So what we are saying is, hey, why don't we use your cell phone? Why don't we use the microphone to capture everything? So that's what we're trying to do. The bigger vision is that we want to capture all the voice as much as possible and organize the world's voice information and make it easily accessible. So that's what we're doing at AI Sense. There's a big difference between this and Alexa, Siri, Google Home. All those systems are basically chatbot. You talk to the robot and ask a question like, what's the weather tomorrow? What's the score for Warriors? And the robot will answer. And obviously, there's a lot of attention in that market. Amazon, Alexa, Google Home, they're engaging in a big competition there now. Apple has Apple Pod. So all those big guys are focusing on that market. However, what we are doing is dramatically different. We are focusing on human-to-human conversations. One, two people talking to each other, or a group of people are having a meeting. either in person, face-to-face, or you talk to people over teleconferences. So we're building a system that, number one, capture the conversation, and number two, do speech recognition, and number three, do natural language processing to understand what people are talking about. Once you have that, you can index everything, you can make everything searchable, and then you can extract insights out of the information there and make it available to people. So that's what DataSense is trying to do.
That's a great vision. Of course, I believe your experience working at Google definitely helped. And also congratulations for your previous exit to Alibaba, which is a very successful. Congratulations. I believe you must have lots of different options before you start AI Sense. I was wondering why you decided to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, once you do one startup, it's really hard to stop. Although,
You can become an investor.
I did a little bit enjoy investment. Actually, I invested quite a few, but it's interesting. I like a lot of startup I talk with. I love new ideas. I love crazy ideas. But in the meantime, I also give some money to a few VCs, and I became an LP for the VCs, and just have those people do the investment. I just gave them the money. But what really motivates me is still building new products that solve real problems. Why do we do AI Sense? I see myself have the problem that I forget things all the time. I have so many meetings every week. Meeting VCs, meeting partners, meeting new engineer candidates. I may meet 10 different people every week. My brain is just not powerful enough to keep track of everything. So I say, why can't I use either my Apple Watch or my iPhone or Android phone to keep track of that? So that's a strong reason for us to start AI Sense. This is a product that we are going to use ourselves. And also when I pitch this idea to a few VCs, it's actually very easy to convince them. When I talk to them, within 5 minutes, they recognize the problem. And they said, yeah, we have this same problem ourselves. And there's no good product on the market. So when we pitch this idea to them, they respond really fast. You say, okay, good. How much money do you need? And we'll fund you.
Maybe let me ask a little bit harder question. I believe one of the reasons you get so quick response because your previous successful record. Let's talk about the voice version. You have two challenges. Number one, search is Google's territory. So far, there's no big players competing with Google, only being acquired with Google. So this means your potential growth will be limited. Number one, I'll challenge you. Number two challenge is that, I agree with partially agree with your problem statement. Let's say voice search. Sure, people don't do voice search, but there's a reason why people use Notepad. Because Notepad is easy. Notepad can at least summarize the thoughts far better than the voices. So my point is that it's not to market today. Are you sure? Even you put this there, it's good enough for people to use it. Two questions.
In the first question you asked, how do we compete with the big guys, basically?
Yes.
Right. That's always a question, VCs will ask. For all the startups, when Google starts, actually Yahoo was already big, and there were 10 other search engines. Why did Google became the dominant search engine? When Facebook started, there's MySpace and a bunch of other social networks. So there's a lot of generic questions like that. But specifically for us, as I mentioned, the large guys right now in Google, Apple, Amazon although they have thousands of engineers, but product-wise, number one, for Google, they have their own voice search for public internet information. And number two, they're building this Google Home system that want to conquer people's homes. But they're not really looking at the problem we're trying to solve here. Again, it's human-to-human conversation. And also, we'd like to start with enterprise market first. If you look at Google although has Google Document, Google Drive, that's not really their main business. So, and also they're not investing so much in that business either. So we see that we have a huge amount of opportunity here. And the second question is, do we really need this product or not, right?
No, it doesn't have a bigger market.
Yeah, how big is it, right? So, let me, there are several angles you can look at this. How many people, let me ask, how many people can remember 50% of your conversation that happened a week ago?
So, but I'm going to challenge you. Maybe people don't need 50%. People just need maybe 5% of the summary of the conversation.
The summary, yeah. If you can do it, you are really diligent, every meeting you generate a summary, yeah, then you're fine. But even that, there's a lot of information you missed, a lot of like body language, the tone of the other person. Sometimes if you listen to it again, you may discover something else you didn't notice the first time. But well, it depends on how busy you are. For us, actually, we are recording all our internal meetings now, including all our product meeting, meeting on Zoom. We're also integrating our service with a phone call recorder app, so that for salesmen, for HR, for business development people, they make phone calls all the time. It still takes 5 or 10 minutes for you to summarize your own conversation after it's finished, or you do it during the conversation, which actually is a distraction. It actually, when you meet someone in Starbucks, it's actually not that polite if you're really busy typing on your laptop, right? So then after the conversation, you need to spend 5 or 10 minutes to write notes. You can still do that, but if you have another copy for the original conversation, you can still find things really easily. And eventually, the system we built can generate summary for you as well. Although today the product is not that smart yet, it could spot a lot of the key information already, like action items, right? At the end of the meeting, you say, hey, these are the action items for me. I'm going to send you this stack on Monday.
Yes, that would be very, very good.
Right? So if you're really diligent, again, you don't need this, but a lot of people are busy. They forget things. They forget what they promised. In particular, if you have back-to-back meetings, you have one meeting 10 to 11, another meeting 11 to 12. After the second meeting, maybe you already forget 3 things you promised in the first meeting. So this system can help you do that as well. We capture your action items, we put that into your calendar, and of course, you can revise that as well if you have time. But even if you don't, the information is still there.
Maybe can give you another challenge. How about your potential competitor, voice to text converter? So what if people just convert the voice into text? So somebody else then use AI just do the summary. What's it?
Summary, today, there has been some work on summarization. There was a company a while ago called Summary. I believe it's a UK company, and it was later acquired by Yahoo. What they do is they try to summarize the news articles. It's actually a company that sponsored by the same VC that invested in ASS. The guy who is on the board of Summary is currently an board member as well. For news articles, it's actually an easier problem. Number one, it's already in text, and it's already nicely written. And a lot of the news articles will follow a certain pattern. Usually the title is the most important sentence, because it tries to attract people's attention, it tries to describe what happened. And also the first paragraph and already tell you a lot. So for that, it's actually an easier problem. When people talk to each other, there's no clear structure there. People think during the conversation, they pause, they repeat, they interrupt each other. So right now, actually, there's no reliable technologies on the market that can summarize human-to-human conversation. It's still a lot of technical challenges. Yeah, another part of this system is actually personalization. Every person will talk differently. I have my special accent, and another person, if he works at Uber, and he will talk a lot about that industry. And also, people talk about different things when they're at different locations. When you're in office, you talk about one topic. When you go home, you talk about a totally different topic. It also depends on the person you're talking to. When I meet you, I talk about startups. When I go back to my office, we talk about how do we get this bug fixed? How do we train this new neural network? So all that depends on the context. How do you make the speech recognition and make the natural language processing more intelligent based on the context? That's another very interesting topic we're working on.
Okay, great. There's many AI startups and also AI big companies as well. So I'm wondering, in this big ecosystem, what is the positioning of AI Sense? Who is your friends? Who is your potential competitor?
Who are our friends? I think our customers will be our friends, of course. That's the most important for all the startups, right? You want to build something, and you want to find clients who use your system, and eventually you want to find customers who pay you money to do the job. Competitors, of course, we watch very closely what the usual suspects do. Again, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, all those. But our current assessment is that we actually have pretty good opportunity and at least a few years of runway before they start to look at this problem and before they focus on this problem. We actually don't worry too much on that, on the competitor side. And this market is large enough actually to accommodate several companies or several competitors. You just think how much you speak every day and how on business, on one major online conferencing company. I don't want to discuss who they are. We're working very closely with them. But they said, every day there are a few 100,000 meetings that happen on their system. And they want those meetings to be transcribed and make those meetings searchable as well. Just that one company, there's a huge amount of data we need to process. And so, again, the market is huge. And the longer term, actually, I think about it, although we like to start with enterprise market, but we also want to make a platform eventually to let developers, third-party developers, to build applications on top of this platform as well. So we see consumer markets as well. Just as one example, actually, I wish I could capture the speech data for my boy. He's 12 years old now, but if I can capture everything he said since the day he started talking, that actually will be tremendous amount of data for us to understand how the kid developed his speaking skills, how he learns, how he interacts with other kids. How the teacher interacts with the kids. Of course, there are privacy concerns, there are all kinds of concerns that's controversial, but just look at the potential you can achieve if you can capture all that, analyze it, and figure out how to educate the child. Longer term, we just see tons of use cases. Of course, we still need to. A friend of mine actually, he recently got divorced. He actually said, if you gave me this tool, it may be able to save my marriage. If you listen to the way you talk to your spouse and share that with the marriage counselor, they will tell you what went wrong. It just, if you use your imagination, this is a whole new dimension that was not possible just a few years ago. And we see this is feasible today. You can achieve that now. It just, right now, we can't do everything, but we're building the infrastructure that enable that and make that possible.
Sounds great. Let's talk about a few years later, maybe like 3 to 4 years. Where do you want to bring the AI sense to?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we like to start with the enterprise market, and we see that's easier to get into today. And we like to have, all the meetings captured, all the interviews captured, all the sales calls captured, and we build the understanding system, natural language understanding and analytics, and which can extract tons of business intelligence from those meetings, and feed that back to the customers and tell them, hey, these are the things that happen, how people interact with each other. Just as one simple statistics, if you look at all the, for example, one company, they have 10,000 meetings a year. If you just analyze who talked the most, that's actually interesting statistic to share with them. In every meeting, there may be 1 or 2 dominant speakers. How they control the meeting in any way. If you could just share that with them, it's actually already a lot of value. And of course, across multiple meetings, how do people discuss things? If you mention Apple in one meeting and another meeting, you also mention Apple. Is there any relationship between the 2 meetings, right? If you mention somebody's name, multiple times, maybe there's some reason there why you talk about that. If 3 people talk about that line, there could be something serious there. So all that kind of intelligence we want to build into this system. So 4 or 5 years from now, we want to become a major player in this market.
Okay. So maybe let me ask you a couple generic questions about the AI space. You're definitely an expert in this space. Maybe like 2 questions that relate to each other. So the first question is that AI is very hot, and so many AI startups were being founded in the last 2 years. So there's another set of opinions that there's a bubble in the AI space. My question to you is that do you believe there is a bubble? And my second question is that where do you think the true AI startups can succeed? So many different AIs. What does a successful startup in AI looks like?
Yeah, whether there's a bubble, I think the answer is a mix. I would say yes and no. On the no part, AI is really taking off these past few years. Although, scientists and researchers have been working on this for like 30, 40 years. But just, in the last a few years, it suddenly became so powerful and practical now. Especially like, AlphaGo, when it beat the best human player, it suddenly shocked everybody. Wow, the machine can be intelligent. So, I came from China. I play a little bit Go, although I'm not that good. I know before the human machine challenge happened, I think 6 months ago, the best Go player in China, they say, hey, there's no way the machine can beat the human champion. But then, it happened, so everybody was shocked. So I think that's just the beginning of the power of AI. Google claims they are an AI company now. Because everything is AI. So in that sense, I don't think we're in a bubble. We're just taking off. There's so many problems that needs to be solved. That the AI can help. I think we're only right now we're only seeing maybe 1%, even less than that. That the people are working on. Their software, their hardware. And also for biology and medical. How do you make this system? How do you cure cancer? How do you find the root cause? All that. It's still a huge challenge, right? So in that sense, I don't think we're in a bubble. But when you say, a lot of the startups claim they're AI startups now. In that sense, there's some bubble there. VCs are pouring a lot of money into AI startups. So when you say you're an AI startup, you really need to look at it more carefully. How much do you need deep AI knowledge to build that startup, or you're just using some open source system to build an application? It's actually quite different. Are you building the hardcore AI technologies, or you're just building one application? Actually, there are value on both sides. It just, for investors, I think, they need to look deeper and understand better what this company really does. And I do see a lot of companies actually, they're doing something for, quite some time. Then overnight they say, oh, we're an AI company now. We are, we're solving this problem with AI because it's just such a hot buzzword. And that's sort of the fashion everybody wants to follow. So it's, in that sense, you do need to inspect it much more cautiously.
Okay. Maybe we'll take a couple questions from the audience.